Okay, how many of you believe that your past conditioning affects you today? All right. How many of you would like your future to come from a clean slate versus being contaminated by the past? So to do so, we have to spend a little bit of energy clearing some of your past energy and blocks that might have been holding you back in this arena. And one of our objectives for you this program is to get this. What's the word, please? Clarity. What most people believe is, what clarity is actually not really accurate in this sense here. Because the first big misconception is that clarity is not necessarily about knowing what you want in this arena. Does that make sense? It's not that. You know what clarity really is? It's this. Nice and loud. What is it, please? It's simply lack of obstacles, as in clear water. What's clear water? It's natural water that has no what? Obstacles in it. A clear reception on your television or radio, right? Clear skin. Clearing your throat. Does that make sense to you? Yes or yes? So clarity, therefore, is a natural state. Clarity is natural. Say that with me. Tell somebody else, please. Clarity is natural. Without obstacles, you have clarity. Does that make sense? And therefore, clarity doesn't come from finding anything. It comes from clearing, removing, and releasing the blocks that are in your way of you uncovering what's already there and completely natural. Does that make sense? All right, good. Is that a little different way of looking at it? Yes? Okay, good. So, it doesn't matter how talented you are, how smart you are, how in tune you are, if you are still trapped by your past, and in particular, your family history, you will have difficulty finding your own true path. So based on your past, especially your childhood, what types of messages did you receive about work and career? When I was growing up, after I got out of the I want to be an astronaut stage, then I had three choices that my parents gave me. I could be an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor. Those are the three. Because they're all what? Professionals. You have to be a what? A professional, right? And so I couldn't stand the sight of blood, so doctor was out. Even worse was the sight of reams and columns of numbers, so accountant was out. And so that left me with what? I had to be a lawyer, right? I never even thought about it. I never said, do I want to be a lawyer? Just that's what I was supposed to be, right? Because the other two were out, so that was left. And, I could speak a little bit, so I could be a lawyer. At that time, I couldn't even speak really well. So I just always assumed that I would be a lawyer, and my parents always assumed that I'd be a lawyer. And from the time I was 12 years old, they say, oh, look at your son here. Yeah, he's going to be a lawyer, And so that was just the way it was. I went to school, my first year of university. If you got decent grades, you were allowed to go to the law school in the last week of their semester to see what it was all about. And so I took advantage of that week. And after the first day, I came home to dinner with my family there and my brother-in-law and sister there, and I made an announcement. And I said this, I'm leaving school. I wouldn't be a lawyer if I made $1 million a day. I hated what I saw. It's all about rules, and I'm the antithesis of rules, all right? That's not my thing at all. It's for perfectly somebody else, but that's not me. Oh, my God. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about here. It never even dawned on me that what I was moving towards wasn't even close to what I'd be interested in, yes? Just one of these assumptions, right? And so when I made that statement, I think you can imagine what happened. Both of my parents had heart attacks. Now my parents stood up and began literally screaming at the top of their lungs. You're going to be a bum. You're never going to amount to anything. You're throwing away your whole life. You will never be a success. I don't want to see you. Get away from the table. And that's exactly what they said. And you know what? They wouldn't even talk to me for a week. Not even a week. Just turn their heads when I came in the door, right? And it was really, really bad. Has anybody had an experience like this before? And so The message I got was real simple, that if I wasn't going to be a professional, then I was what? Worthless. And that I would never be a success no matter what else I do in their eyes. Yes? So I want you to close your eyes right now. And just relax. Take a nice deep breath. And let it out. And breathing in and out. Nice and easily. Totally relaxed. Uncross your arms and legs. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. You are in the perfect place right this moment, or you wouldn't be here. I want you to remember that messages comes in different forms. Verbal messages, modeling type messages, and specific incidents. You don't have to write anything down right now because you will remember everything that we're talking about here at the right time in a few moments. And so what messages or images or opinions did you get from your family or whoever you grew up with regarding success or your career, and your career, I mean? What messages did you get as to what careers were valid and appropriate and what types of careers weren't? Did you get the message that work was supposed to be full of joy, or was it a struggle? That you work for contribution, or that you work for money? Were you told that what you should do, or what you should be, or what you shouldn't be? When you proclaimed that you wanted to be or do something, were you ever told that's not for you, or you have to be special in some way to do that? Were you ever told, don't be silly? Are you crazy? Forget it. You'll never make any money doing that. Think about a real job. That'll never work. Eyes are closed. And what messages did your teachers in school or guidance counselors give you about work and career? And what did your peers say and think about work and career? And now also, so you remember all that, and now let's go to what you modeled. What did you model? What were your parents or guardians like in the arena of work? Did one or the other have a steady job? Were they in their own business? Did they have a long-term career, or were they constantly jumping around from job to job or business to business? Did your parents do what they loved to do or what they had to do? What was the message there? Was work a joy or was it a sacrifice? Were you even supposed to have a career or a business? And also, did you ever have any emotional incidents that occurred that directed you in a certain way? Did anyone close to you ever get fired or go bankrupt? Any major arguments in the arena? Any situations that led you into a certain direction? Maybe you needed money right away. Maybe you had to help someone in need. Maybe your best friend quit school and so you did, or maybe they went into a certain field so you did. I want you to go back right now to everything that you heard, everything you saw, and any specific incidents that led you towards messages that you got around work and career when you were young or even a teenager. Again, consider what you heard, what you modeled, and any specific incidents. Whether they're supportive or non-supportive messages, we want them all out there. Pick up your pens and notebooks and write down the messages you got about work and career when you were young. And now, and along with what you've written there, the next part is this. How has your life, how has your what? Reflected these messages that you got? Is your life in alignment with these messages, or are you the opposite of these messages, and in what ways? Take a minute to write that down. How has your life so far reflected these messages? Are you in alignment with them? Is this the messages you got? Is that how you're living? Or are you exactly the opposite, possibly? And in what ways? Go ahead, take a minute to write that down, please. One of the biggest issues regarding choosing our path for most of us was gaining the approval, the what? Of other people, especially mom and dad and those who are closest to us. So, related to work or career, assuming, what's the word? Assuming for a moment you were unconsciously trying to gain approval from someone or trying to prove something to someone, who would it be to in that arena? Could it be a parent? or a partner or spouse or your kids, and it could be current also. A lot of people do what they're doing because they want to prove to their spouse or their kids or their spouse that they can earn a living, or that their kids that they're heroic, or that they you know what I'm saying? So check this out. And again, assuming for a moment you're unconsciously trying to gain approval for someone or trying to prove something to someone, who would it be possibly? Parent, partner, spouse, kids, other family members, teacher, yourself. And you can have more than one. Again, come from the past and come from the present. So write down who that might be if you were trying to prove something, or you're trying to gain approval from certain people in this arena. Who would it be? Go ahead and just write down a couple of them if you have them. If you don't have them, search a little deeper. Okay, now along with that, how does striving for this approval or proving show up in your life now? Again, especially in your choice of work or career. In other words, maybe you're doing what you want to do to get mom and dad's approval, or your spouse's approval, or your kids' approval, or to prove something to them or to yourself. Or maybe you're not doing what you want to do because you know that someone would disapprove of it. So how is this reflecting your life right now? Go ahead and take a minute to write about that. How does this striving for approval or proving show up in your life, especially in your work choice or career? Okay. Raise your hand if you had any notices or insights or validations on that exercise. Great. Who'd be willing to share kind of an insight that they had or something that came up for them? Yes?
This was really a fun one.
What's your name?
Peppy. I'm Peppy. A woman named Peppy. I want you all to remember that because that's my author title. What I had was probably more spiritual than anything, because my father had been a writer, and he actually was a writer with Eugene O'Neill. And he left that dream because the good Jewish man must provide for the family. And he created a very successful business, which he also liked. And my life has been creating businesses, working very hard, which I've liked, and now I am becoming a writer. And I had not really looked at that before, and it's as though the circle has been completed. I don't know what it means, but it was really, I went, whoa, that's interesting.
That's great. That's great. Give a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah. Let us know your name first.
Hi, I'm Diane. Well, the main sadness in my life has been that I've always felt like an artist. Well, I've always been an artist, but my father told me, no way. Don't do art, do home ec, do anything. Women cook and sew, or they learn math and science, but they don't do art. And so I tried to be a graphic designer for a while, which was okay, but it was just too stifling. I kept trying to figure out how to make money being artistic, and I've made little things and cranked out 1 million of them and sold them at fairs and wore myself out. So as I'm standing here, I still feel that sadness, and I started painting recently, but then everything seems to get in the way. I've also been taking on investing in real estate, and so all these other matters of life seem to be more important in priority than what I love, which is I'd love to make a living being an artist.
She sounds frustrated, doesn't she? Yeah. Okay, take a nice deep breath. Give a round of applause. Thank you.